since the court reporter's on, why don't we go ahead and call the meeting to order? It is 10:06 a.m., June 20th, 2023. This is the Bingo Advisory Committee meeting at the Texas Lottery Commission. We will start off with we've already done item number 1. Let's do item number 2, American Pledge, followed by the Texas Pledge and roll call.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas
flag. I pledge allegiance to thee,
Texas,
one state under God, one and indivisible.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take roll. Jason Paul.
Here.
Emil, we're going.
I'm here.
Since the court reporter's on, why don't we go ahead and call the meeting to order? It is 10:06 a.m. That's strange. All right. Michael Anastasio, he is on the meeting, but he can't talk yet. Corey.
Here.
Tommy.
Here.
Veronica.
Here.
Melody.
Here.
And I am here. All right. All is present. Moving on to item number 5, meeting minutes from April 12th, 2023. Is there any public comment on the minutes as written? If not, need an approval for the minutes.
I move the approval of the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from April 12th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. All in favor. Meeting minutes are approved. Before we get to item number 6, we would like to thank the staff and Commissioner Fields for being here today. To have a staff that cares about us, so we just wanted to say thank you for that. We appreciate your attention very much. Item number 6, legislative update from Steve Bresnan, Steve Finolio. And congratulations, by the way, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Steve Bresnan. I'm here on behalf of the Bingo Interest Group. Before I discuss some of the high points of the legislation that passed, I want to say to Commissioner Fields and the staff that in the too long that I've been working on charitable bingo, this is the finest relationship that we've ever had with the agency. That's to credit to the atmosphere that the commission has established. LaDonna, you've come in and been a delight from the get-go, and your staff's been extremely helpful to us. I know Tyler's not here and Bob's not here, but that goes all the way up and down the chain, including the government affairs staff. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. And it shows in the governor's office and in the legislature that folks are working together and pursuing common agendas. So we really appreciate that. I want to say something first, just a general characterization about Senate Bill 643. It took going on about 5 years worth of work to accomplish this through no fault of our own. Last session, we got kiboshed in a legislative melee that had nothing to do with us, and we were right at the finish line. This session, it went to the evening of the last day of the veto period. Again, nothing to do with us. A lot of bills were getting either vetoed or not signed because of politics between property tax reform, school vouchers, and other stuff that always goes on around the legislature. The people in the charitable bingo world did everything right. We worked together where their language needed to be made more clear. We clarified it. We had a common understood agenda. We didn't overreach. And we touched every base from the governor's office. Trace, I want to say I appreciate you in particular. What y'all may not know is Trace came down 4 or 5 times during the session at his own expense and went door to door in the Capitol building with me and Tom and Steve, attended committee hearings, and all of that at his own expense. And it's no easy thing to come all the way from Texarkana to Austin to do those things, sometimes for multiple days. So to have people that are not the paid flacks show up, that are, what I call real Texans every day, and go door to door and explain to the legislature how important things are to you, you can't buy that. We're good for what we're good for, but we're not good for everything, and that cannot be purchased. So very much appreciate you
Thank you.
doing that, and I hope y'all let Trace know that privately when you get a minute. We had excellent contact with the Lieutenant Governor's office, his Associate General Counsel over there, Lola Fender, the Speaker's office in Margot, his top legislative counsel, and Shakira, top policy person, both with the staff, both Senator Zaffarini's office and Representative Thompson's office, Chairwoman Thompson's office, and everybody else. When we got a setback because our bill got a point of order called on it, we had to go back to committee and fix some stuff. We weren't happy about it. We made it clear that we weren't happy about it, but we did it with a smile on our faces. That gentleman was neutralized. And so we made it to the promised land because some committee staff and Representative Thompson's staff knew how to back up, fix it, and get us back onto the calendar about as fast as it can be done. So it's a credit to all the organizations, the Bingo Interest Group, Texas Charity Advocates, Texans for Charitable Bingo, VFW. Everybody showed up and did their part. And we really appreciate that. And both the product and the result show. Now, this is a 17-page bill or a 16-page bill on the printout I have, or 15 pages of substance. And so I just want to hit some high points, if I might, and then I'm happy to answer any questions. And I have Mr. Fenolio here for the questions that I absolutely refuse to answer, or I'm not smart enough to do so. A lot of what's in this bill is fixing things that weren't exactly right, either as a result of prior sessions. Simple things like on the very first page, correcting a cross-reference, the old Texas Nonprofit Corporation Act and that Article 1396 101, that hasn't existed forever. It all got moved over into the Business Organizations Code. So simple things like that, you work around them. It's easy enough to work around them. But when people get new to bingo and they're trying to study and they're trying to read the law and see, and they can look till hell freezes over and they ain't going to find that cross-reference that was in the statute. We did some things in here. Some of this language reflects things that are intended, and I hope will let the commission operate in a more efficient manner. It occurred to us there was a drafting error early in the bill that would have allowed the charities that had an annual license to have no requirement to have net proceeds. Nobody's intention. We're all fully supportive of the legal requirement that the organizations have to have net proceeds. But after we poked around on it a little bit, we decided, why do we have 1-year license anymore anyway? There's about 130 of them that the commission staff has to go process renewals every year. And if people want to quit short of their 2-year license period, they could just quit. So it made no sense at all. That was done originally because there was a license fee. Once we got rid of the license fee, it wasn't a problem for people to have a 2-year license. So by working with staff, we were able to eliminate some things like that should make life easier. A goodly part of this bill really is just conforming to the statute to the get rid of the annual license. I'm going to flip real quick and make sure I hit the high points. Now, one of the most important things that we've been communicating to members of the Bingo Interest Group, members of Texas Charity Advocates, I believe the Texas for Charitable Bingo Group are going to do the same thing. We sent them this message yesterday, although 2 of their lobbyists were out fishing in the Gulf, which, although I'm not a fisherman, it seemed like a better deal than what I was doing. So they'll have to get off their fishing trip before we fully pull this off. But the message was this: don't go out and go crazy. This is a new format. We've got new things to do. The 48 temps is going, if everybody comes in all at once and asks for all the 48 temps, the commission cannot reasonably be expected to churn those things out overnight. So I have no doubt that what we've done is going to make it better, more efficient for the commission, more efficient from everybody, but nobody can turn around on a dime. Same goes for moving the cap on regular bingo prizes from $2,500 to $5,000. You can't go crazy just because you can give away $5,000 doesn't mean that you're going to have the revenue coming in the door in order to be able to do that. And I'm talking to bingo operators here, people who know. But I strongly encourage you, and we talked to representatives of the distributors yesterday, we strongly encourage them to reach out to their customers and say, hey, think about what you're doing. You still have to earn this revenue. You're on the hook for the prizes. And when you do that, you still got to make a profit because the net proceeds requirement is in place. So we're asking everybody to kind of chill out a little bit. Don't get too excited. Don't think you're going to go dominate the market suddenly by doing something that's uneconomic. And so that's a message that we're communicating. The legislature has trusted us by giving us more flexibility and the ability to run our businesses more like a business. We have to repay that trust by doing things that make sense and not having people go belly up or get into the ditch because they did things that just didn't make any sense on a day-to-day basis. If that sounds like a paternalistic attitude, I don't have any kids, so I missed Father's Day, so I'm making up for it, today. Let me just flip real quick, if I might.
Well, those suggestions are well-founded.
Thank you, Trace. There was some ambiguity previously on if an organization violated the rules or the statute, who paid the penalty, whether it went to if they were in a unit, whether it went to everybody in the unit or the individual violator. That's going to be cleared up. If it's a individual violator's responsibility, it'll be on them. If it's a unit responsibility, it'll be on them. We conformed the deposit time period within which proceeds have to be deposited for units from second to third day, which we did for the individual organizations. Seems like forever ago now, a couple of sessions back, and it made no sense. That was just a mistake on my part. We left it out. I want to be real clear. There's some of this language in the version that's on the desk back there in pages starting at the bottom, really starting on page 10 and running through page 11 and some of 12. This is what to do with and who gets the local portion of the prize fee. There's no change in law in this. I know that's a lot of words and a lot of underlining and striking through, but the previous, number one, some of the previous statutes already been executed, so it could just be taken out. So part of it's cleanup. Part of it is the the prior language was not exactly artfully done. And the commission, working with Chairwoman Thompson's office, administered the law for really a couple of sessions here, consistent with her statement of legislative intent, which is entirely appropriate because the statute wasn't exactly clear. So if you get questions from your local governments, it is clear that this statute has not changed what they get. And we have a letter from Ms. Thompson's office that working with the commission and me and Ms. Thompson's office, we issued primarily to Travis County that had a question about that, but it is that letter can be made available to any local government to say whatever they're getting now, not the dollar amount, but the percentage of the prize fee, whatever they're getting now is what they would continue to get. The law, I would remind you that the law still allows the local government to opt out of receiving the local portion of the prize fee. And if they do, it goes to the charities. So Melody, you did a fantastic job of lobbying your group. And we had some friends down in Harris County that lobbied the county down there. Can I mention an amount that we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
That's about $60,000 a year to the charities at one location that they get rather than paying that money into the local government down there. That's not something to sneeze at.
Oh.
A lot of good work can be done with that money. So I would encourage you to follow up on that. I think the rest of the bill is just implementation language and conforms parts of the bill to other. So I'm happy to answer any questions. If y'all can't tell, this is something that we enjoy doing. It's have been extraordinary. Watching the changes in your new building come up over there. I walked around earlier. That's going to be really nice to be in one of those new buildings over there, I'm sure. Anyway, that's all I've got unless anybody has any questions.
Hi, this is Rhonda. Good morning. Thank you for everything, all your hard work. I do have a question just because I'm not familiar with all this. I got the same email that probably everybody got yesterday saying this was approved. So I just want to clarify for my purposes and anybody who else has a question. It says the law doesn't go into effect until September 1st. However, the Texas Lottery Commission is required to adopt rules to implement it by January 1st, 2024. So like, will all of it wait till January 1st or how does that work?
Well, the statute, the legal answer is the statute's enforceable as it stands right now. But things like, now this would be an appropriate time for you to comment, but just as somebody who used to help run a big state agency, getting the procedures in place for issuing 48 temporaries at a time, I think realistically is going to take a little while to get that in place. Can you go apply for 48 right now? You know, I'm not going to give you legal advice about that. Steve, you can hire Steve, he'll give you legal advice. But the short answer, we wrote that letter the way we did because we want to be sensitive to our partners at the Lottery Commission. And so, you know, there's what you can do and what you should do. And so I'll leave it at that. Is that okay?
I guess so. I just, you know, I have some of my managers going, oh, let's do this now. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like,
No.
whoa.
They're clearly not doing anything before September.
Oh, no. I mean, getting prepared by September 1st. So, I mean, it just says that by January 24th, some of these things will have to have that rule change. So what do we know has to have the rule change and what doesn't?
Okay, well, may I? put you on the
Yes.
spot.
Well, I don't have the details right now, but I can tell you rulemaking just takes longer. It takes a little longer than by September 1st. So
Okay.
yeah, that January 1st rule deadline is pretty normal, but the effective date for the 48 temps and, things like that, I believe is September 1. We're working with our IR to get that in place. And he's not right now.
Oh, no. I'm not concerned about that. People are asking already. I have had customers like months or weeks ago saying it was approved. You can do it now. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works.
Right.
So like raising the limit to the $5,000 per session is what everybody's already
Of course,
texting and
It's effective,
Facebook and everything. Everybody's already,
of course.
it's effective September 1st.
Okay.
This is what I'm about to say is not legal advice. I'm not your lawyer. Were I to give you legal advice and be your lawyer, I would suggest you not advertise a prize amount in excess of $2,500 until on or after September 1st. Steve, would you want to speak to that? Get out of the way.
For the record, my name is Stephen Fenolio. Mr. Bresnan is correct that provision is not effective until September 1. After effective September 1, a bingo hall can award prizes consistent with the new law. Would not advertise that suggest in any way that you're going to do that or the bingo hall's going to do it before September. That could create some deceptive trade practice issues that you really don't want to go into. There are other provisions that the staff are going to have to draft rules for. We'll have an opportunity to review and comment as we always do. But that provision on the prizes is effective September 1. So that answers your question.
it does. Thank you.
The other thing, though, is you need to be aware IRS regs require a W-2G to issue anyone who wins $1,200 or more in bingo. And that's a federal statute,
1,200 or 1,000?
1,200.
1,200.
And while the Lottery Commission doesn't enforce federal tax law, that could, if you don't do it, number one, the IRS can come knocking, which they have a pretty big stick. And historically, I know bingo players have been very reluctant to provide their identification for a variety of reasons. Number one, they don't want their spouse to know they're spending as much money as they are. And they're just superstitious. But my advice is that every hall have a sign. If you're going to award a prize of $1,200 or more, that we must obtain your Social Security number and identification, or else the prize won't be awarded.
Great. And one last question. I'm not trying to upward here. I just want to know, is $5,000, can you give away one game for $5,000?
Well, the statute said for regular bingo says prizes, plural. We may get some direction from staff at some point, but it could be $4,999 and
Okay.
did that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Just want to finish up real quick. On that last question, we do need to get some guidance, but my personal belief is that it would, the example that Steve brought up would be an absurdity. And a general rule of statutory construction is the legislature never intends an absurdity. You heard that first here, and I know you're not going to believe it. Nobody else in America believes it either. So doesn't mean they don't result in absurdities, but that's the sort of thing we need to get a little guidance for, and nobody run off a half pot. Now, I'm going to bring up something. I don't want to put anybody on the spot today, but I'd like y'all to consider, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time or not. You got some time to consider it, but there needs to be some information that gets out to the conducting organizations about this federal tax issue. It's the sort of thing that while we're saying to
Right.
don't go off half-cocked, because all of a sudden you're going to have federal tax responsibilities that you're not used to. And even we had a discussion earlier, some of us in the cafeteria over here, about the ins and outs of doing that casinos have to deal with that are in this business, full time. So in my dream world, there'd be some kind of communication without the commission telling the organization, giving them legal advice and telling them to how to do it. But maybe a directive that they consult either a lawyer or an accountant about the requirements of the federal tax compliance if you give away a prize of $1,200 or more. And I think that's the end of what I got to say, unless y'all have more questions. Your questions are good questions, and a lot of people are asking them, by the way.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
what would that directive look like as far as the distribution of how we communicate that, and without giving any kind of official advice, but in your imagination, what do you think that would look like? Yes.
I think it could be as simple as a statement that, something along the lines of, given a new prize structure, we'd encourage conducting organizations to consult an attorney or an accountant before they award a prize of $1,200 or more.
Sure. And would there be any verbiage in that and how they would communicate that to the customer as far as relaying their responsibilities for claiming that income, that prize income? Because I think the last thing any of us would want would be hall supervisors and attendants speak about tax code, right, and giving tax advice.
Well, it makes sense to me to have some uniform, safe way for the organizations to communicate that to the customers. Because you're going to have a problem if they come up and you say, I have to have this information or I can't give you this $1,200 prize. The business is going to hit the fan at that point in time. So, it may be amount for signage. It may be an announcement when you're calling a game that has that sort of prize. I think, I'm a government guy. I'm not an operational guy. So I think the community is going to have to come up with a way and trade some ideas and see about what the best way to do that is. We're just raising the flag and saying, take it easy, know what you're doing before you do it. Don't buy yourself trouble that you could avoid.
I agree. I think if we could agree on what that verbiage is, get it approved, I think having it posted in the halls would provide as constructive notice. And then also for any winners or recipients, providing the notice at that time as well would certainly make them aware of any tax responsibilities they would have.
If whoever you're representing on the BAC is a member of the Bingo Interest Group or Texas Charity Advocates, they might look to one or both of those associations for some kind of guidance, because they each have legal services available to them that might be able to advise them on some sort of a common, uniform message without committing those legal services who might be hearing this as we sit in the room today.
I guess that's going to be my question, is that it can't come from the BAC, can it? Or can it?
I leave that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'd leave that to the commission, but we're talking about advice on federal tax law that's beyond the scope.
Yeah. So
tell somebody to go find out before you do it is one thing. To tell them how to do it is another.
Right. I don't want to be responsible if somebody's
Sure.
correctly and
Right.
like say we advise that. It's not how we do it, but we do want to get the message out there that, hey, maybe we could put something out that says, please go consult a CPA or something like that.
I think to tell somebody to get advice is different from giving them advice. And I would say this, not that I'm making a pitch for people to join one or more of these organizations, but you really, this is a good time to see what these organizations have done for you and what they could do for you in the future. So to the extent anybody's hearing me out there, I would look to your organizations and see what you can do to get some organized advice on that. Thanks a lot. That's a really good question. We don't have answers to all those right now.
Steve, thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Sure. Did I leave anything out from your perspective?
I think so.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you all. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Steve. And we definitely want to thank Steve Finolio and Tom Stewart as well, who helped out on this effort. It was a huge team effort, and it wouldn't have got done without everybody working as a team. So thank y'all both very much. We appreciate that. Let's see. Where are we? Any other public comment on the legislative update? Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to item number 7, selection of a new member to the BAC for recommendation to the commission. We had several applications. I think we had a total of 9, I believe it was. And I will read those names off. We had, I'm just going to go down the list, and if you're here or want to speak on this, we'd love to hear from you and hear a little bit about you. We have Teresa Jonikin. Is Teresa here or online maybe? No? Okay. The next one is Bricker C. Bruner. Nope. Janie B. Johnson. Oh. Keely Collier. Oh. Harry Woodstrom. David Walker. Mark E. Myers. Laura Westerman. Marie Underdown. And the last one we have is Stacy Johnston. Hey, Stacy, you're here. You want to come up and tell us a little bit about yourself again? I know you've been to most of the meetings here in the past couple months. We definitely appreciate your participation, and it definitely shows a lot of heart. It shows that you want to be here.
Again, I'm Stacy Johnston from Dallas for the Team Bingo Halls, chairperson for School of Faith. It's been really interesting coming down here, by the way. Thank y'all for having me. I'm excited at the opportunity being on BAC. I've learned a lot already just coming the last 2 meetings, but anyway, excited. Hope to have the opportunity. If not, it's still been interesting. I may still show up just to listen in.
We definitely appreciate you coming in. All the applicants were very well qualified. The staff vetted all these before they sent them out to all of us. I made a couple of calls on these, and I got a hold of some people and some people that didn't. But if anybody's got any questions for Stacy since she's here, feel free to ask away.
Stacy, what do you do for Team Bingo? Do you work at Jupiter or Arapahoe or Buckner or?
Yeah.
So if you could come back to the mic, I'm sorry. That's all right.
I work at Jupiter, Arapahoe, and then we also have 530 Bingo in Dallas.
Right.
Richardson, one in Dallas. I'm assistant manager to Larry Whittington,
I know Larry.
and I work primarily in the daytime halls, but I operate within the halls. He does all the outside stuff. So
How long have you been with him?
I've been with Team Bingo for 26 years.
Oh my. Get a medal.
That's a long time to know that.
That's a long time to be in Bingo.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I would like to nominate Stacy just because she shows up, not just because, but decisions are made by show up. And that's half the battle.
It is.
It's right there, maybe more.
I would second that as well.
Thank you.
We have a nomination and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Any opposed? All right, Stacy, you are our nomination to the commissioners tomorrow. We will submit your name tomorrow to the commissioners. Commissioner Fields is here right now. She is our bingo commissioner, and we greatly appreciate her. She is very attentive to us, and that's something that we haven't experienced in the past. So we're truly grateful for that. It's nice. So we will submit your name tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy.
Congratulations. All right, moving on. Number 8, old business. The last meeting we had, we talked about if an operator was good for one charity, could they be an operator for another charity without having to go through the whole process again? LaDonna and I talked about this the other day on the telephone, and I think what we agreed to do, if I may speak for you a little bit, Tyler is on vacation, and we want to take a look at that legally if we can even suggest that. And so we decided if we could, we'd wait till Tyler got back to formally put that on the agenda. That's all right with you.
Good.
And so when you said the whole process, what do you mean by the?
So if you're an operator for one charity, instead of having to go through the vetting process for every charity and piling up the what do you call it, the process, if you're an operator for one charity and you're I guess legally the operator for that charity, or people were approved for that charity, then you're automatically approved for all the rest of the charities in the hall, instead of having to go through that vetting process for all
Fill
the.
out every
Yes,
sheet over
Yes.
and over again.
yes,
Extra work for them too.
yeah, absolutely. And just a simplification of the process. But I think there's some legal questions on whether or not we can do that by rule, or if it has to be through statute or.
The
Whatever.
only comment I have is I know that, don't they have to be, I don't know, don't they have to be voted on by the board? By the board of the organizations to submit that? They have to be.
That's one of the questions that we need to find out the answer to on that. So, yeah. All right, so we will put that on for the next meeting, and Tyler will be back. Tyler has probably got his feet in the sand and the sun in his hair.
Okay.
So we miss you, Tyler. All right. Any other old business? Donna?
Just one comment. I don't know that I would call it old business, but it is an issue that has come up.
We've lost voice online.
Oh, I didn't even touch it. Can you hear
Um,
me?
Can you hear us now?
I hear you now. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
excellent. So if you're on waiver,
Waivers that are in place right now are still good for whatever time period they're good for, of course. We will, so the declaration ended, I think it was last week, so in the second quarter. So waivers for the second quarter will still be granted for force majeure if they cite COVID-19. Third quarter is when we'll start with the going back to the rule process.
will the process be any different for people trying to apply for a waiver that have already been on waivers, say since 2020? Will the process be any different, or is it?
So they're going to need to comply with the rule. The rule requires if they have a force majeure reason, they'll need to show us some documentation.
Gotcha.
like if, for instance, the staff has got COVID and they had to close down for that, then they could.
You know, I don't really want to speak to
Okay.
Not specific.
situation.
Yeah.
We'll look at the requests when they come in.
Sure.
Just had,
Remember, I've not done them except under COVID, so.
Surprise.
Yay. Brother will teach me, I'm sure.
All right. Any other old business? If not, we'll go on to new business. The only new business that I'm aware of, LaDonna and I had a conversation last week. The annual report is coming up. We'll have to do the annual report again. I think we said that was due in September. Did you say it was?
It's an August, it'll be at the August meeting. Because of course the BAC expires unless the commission reappoints. It expires on August 31st. The commission meeting date is August 17th. So we'll be working on a work plan and nominations and.
Okay, so we'll have the annual report and then the
Work plan.
work plan. So, okay, in August. All right. And hopefully we will have a good report, and hopefully the commissioners will see fit to give us another go around. All right. Any other new business?
I have some, Trace.
Yes, sir.
I
That
wanted
Jason?
to- No, it's Emil. I wanted to formally advise you that
Oh.
my intention is to retire from the BAC at the end of this year, pending my early retirement from Pollard Banknote in early 2024.
Well, congratulations, Emil. We hate to see you go, that's for sure. And you've been a valuable resource and a great friend over the years. So we definitely will miss you. We do wish you the best of luck, though, in your retirement. That's a feat that's not often accomplished nowadays. So we're definitely going to miss you. Anybody
I'll be
else?
here till the end of the year, but thanks anyway.
Yes, sir.
Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Nolio again. I wanted to raise an issue that I've spoken with LaDonna about, and y'all have discussed, we've all discussed periodically, and that's the online filing.
Oh, please.
And there are some charities that still file by paper, and that's a problem or a challenge for staff as opposed to digital format. And I would suggest that the BAC look at that as a way of encouraging licensees to file online. But certainly, we've got one issue. I'm not going to talk about the case, but sometimes mail gets misdirected when you send it as mail, including certified mail. But also, you know, this internet thing is not just a toy that's going to die tomorrow.
I mean, it's not a fad.
It's not a fad.
Not bad.
I do have a comment, Steve. That was not me. That was Lori, but go ahead. Objection right there.
And it's an efficiency for staff so that
No, I agree.
take care of real business as opposed to scanning, et cetera. So that would be my thought for new business. Be happy to answer any questions. If not,
Thank you, Mr.
you're
Fennelly.
welcome. Occasionally I help. That's not reliable.
Thank you, Steve. So maybe we could look at maybe implementing some way, shape, or form to increase that again. I know we went through that last time.
We are sending email notifications to folks. I don't know, what is the schedule on that? Like a few weeks before they're due, the quarterly reports, they include a link to the manuals that are online. And of course, Alice is always happy to answer the phone and show you where the manuals are or help you get on.
We talked about that a while back, and
Yes.
I think it helped. I know we reached out through our own personal organization.
That would be terrific. That was what Steve and I were talking about last week when it came up. Yes.
I know there are I know there's always a second option, but I think there's a lot of places that have gone to you must file online unless you've got a reason not to. Is that something that the commission is?
I was hoping to get more, get higher numbers with just asking people and getting these manuals online. And now with the reminders, the email reminders, we're certainly going to be talking about it. The agency will be going through a sunset review. It'll be listed on my part of it as something that would really help us. Changing the rule and requiring it is always a possibility. It has, since I've been here for 2 years, everybody I talk to, including people in this room and on this dais, have said, we'll just change the rule.
Right. Can you ballpark what percentage are done?
I think our last numbers were, 70% online? About 70% online.
Still got about 30%.
It was 60% when I got here.
Yes.
Not that much higher. It's still a lot. How many reports are we having to do the data entry on?
What's the math on
It's
that?
about 1,000 conductors, right? But the units, of course, it's not as many.
I have a question.
Veronica?
So maybe some of it's kind of fear from the organization. So I don't know if there's a possibility to do an example one so they can get on there and practice. I know that was.
Have you looked at the manuals? The manuals have a lot of pictures and screenshots and.
I get that. And I do mine online, but I know there was fear on my end, I don't want to mess up or things like that. And trust me, I've made my mistakes along the way and I've learned, but I don't know if maybe there's a practice thing that they can go in and enter. And I think that's kind of maybe that's that was my holdback. It's I don't want to put in the wrong number and then what happens? And maybe, I know that I've called Alice several times. Hey, I did this wrong. She goes, okay, wait till tomorrow to amend. I think maybe if there's something that we can write that says that if you make a mistake, you go in the next day. I try to do it early just to make sure because there will be mistakes.
Thank you.
And go in and amend it the next day. And I think people don't know that there's that option. And so maybe if we can write something that makes people more comfortable doing it online. I know that helped me a lot after talking to Alice. She's like, just do it. You'll be fine. And
just do it, especially if you're doing it early, you can.
Yeah. And we can fix it online and amend it online and that kind of thing. So.
Right.
I don't.
As long as you have Alice.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
So the other question I was going to ask was, I just did some round figures. So if you've got 30% of the licensees are filing paper,
Yes.
that's well over 100 licensees that are filing. That's a lot to do.
Yes.
So of those,
the staff, of course, is just doing data entry, plenty of room for human error and stuff. It's
sure.
tough, and it's, we call it peak week. It's crazy busy.
So out of those 100 or so applications that are on paper, do y'all have any idea how many of those are the single locations, like a small American Legion or a small VFW? Do y'all break it down like that at all? I'm just curious because I think most of
But she can get it for me.
He's a whiz, yes.
So.
Okay, I was just curious because I know a lot of the single halls like that would probably be doing that. And I've spoken to several of the VFWs that's the way they do it because they only have the one. I kind of understand that mentality. I think most of the larger halls probably do it online. So it's
They do, but there was a form that was not online. You could not file online if you played a temporary at a different location.
Okay.
Is that still correct?
Yes.
That's what I
Handful of people play at different locations.
Okay.
So that's the reason. And besides the BS, we're going to convert the system to the .NET, which is a new system. So we still need to allocate the time for the IT staff, which we have a very limited resource.
It's on our wish list when we get to the new system,
Yeah.
new platform. Yes.
Okay, would that,
That is,
the only form that has to be mailed in? Are there?
I don't know if it's the
Not-
only,
Yes.
is it?
Currently for the.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And mailing has really become a problem
Yes, it's
because
all kinds of weird.
that report went around the world.
Did it?
Ended up in San Antonio. Well, anyway, yeah, mail's rough. It's just,
So, I don't know how it happened, but Alice Banks gave my number out to a VFW, which she asked me. She did ask me. And it was on a gentleman at a VFW who needed help, and I had him come to my hall and I walked him through it. So I don't know if there's a way for people who do it all the time to volunteer and reach out to help other people who don't do it all the time, to get them comfortable with it. And also signing up for the BSP, people have difficulty because they don't press submit. And so
Mhm.
I make sure when I'm watching one of the new people do the bingo worker badge that they actually hit the submit and it has this.
Mm.
So there's several different things that you don't do. So, I mean, if we could say, okay, well, we'll be willing to come to my hall and I'll show you how to do it and help you. So, I mean, there's also that. If other charities are willing to help others, that'll help raise the numbers up for you guys.
Awesome.
Oh, okay.
All right. Any other new business? Nope. Anybody else want to add anything or nothing else to say? Okay. All right. We will move on to item number 10, set the date for the next meeting. I believe it's August 16th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we will be here August 16th at 10 a.m.
That's a Wednesday. Just,
It is a Wednesday also.
and the commission meeting is scheduled for August 17th.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. And we will, in the interim, we'll be working on the work plan and the annual report. And we will have that at the next BAC meeting and vote to send that to the commissioners. All right. If nothing else, we'll adjourn the meeting. It's 2 minutes till 11. Meeting adjourned.